Welcome to the Hardcore MBA Podcast with your host, Erland Bakke.
Hi, my name is Erland Bakke. I am the international best-selling author of Never Work Again. And today I'm wearing my special Philippines jeepney t-shirt here in London. But today I'm really excited because it's all about sales development, marketing, business. And today I have from MGB Graham, Michael Graham. He actually got started when he was 17, and since then he's had an entrepreneurial journey that he will be telling us about right now. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So 17 is quite young to start in business.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a lifetime away.
I'm just trying to think what I was doing when I was 17. I was at school.
Yeah, most people are, aren't they?
So how did you get started at 17?
I actually got started by chance, my parents broke up when I was 16, and which is never a nice thing, but my mum gave me 10 grand to stay in education. So my mum gave me £10,000 to stay in education. So I did what any 16-year-old would do, and I decided to go traveling. so of course, right? So I was broke by the time I was 17. I had no more money, and I had to get a job. So I ended up getting a job doing door-to-door commission-only sales, and I got trained. I got trained how to be very technically good at selling. And by the time I was, just before I was 18, I had a team of about 300 people doing door-to-door sales. Working with some pretty big companies.
So you had a business doing that, or you?
Well, the thing was, I wasn't incorporated yet. I had a team under my company, and then what happened was the company went into disarray, and I decided to take my team, and when I was 18, I decided to incorporate my own business. But it all came about through me going traveling when I was 16, having no more money, having to get a job, and I applied for I remember I applied for an ad in the newspaper saying door-to-door, commission only, cash paid daily, because I needed to pay my rent.
I've talked to other salespeople, very good salespeople, and they always start off with the door-to-door salesperson position. That seems to be such an effective way to learn sales. Would you agree?
Yeah, it is, because it's hard. It's really hard. You get a lot of rejection. You've got to learn to be technically very good. It's you also learn the most fundamental part, which is the hard work. The guys that are good at it for a period of time, they have an incredible work ethic. They work so hard because when the skill doesn't work, your work ethic kicks in. So it's really great if someone wants to get good at it. Like I told my girlfriend, when we have kids, then they're going to do door-to-door for a couple of years.
Okay. So what is the most outrageous thing that happened to you while you were doing door-to-door?
The most outrageous thing? I reckon...
Do you get bitten in the bum by a dog, or...?
No, what happened once, because we used to recruit. And our recruitment system was we'd take someone in the field with us for the whole day, and they had to see the whole day door to door. And if they lasted the whole day, we gave them the job. And I was very new to recruiting at this time. And I was 18, and I took someone in the field with me. No, I was 17, and I took someone in the field, and I knocked on this lady's house, and this man opened the door completely naked, right? and I'm embarrassed. I'm pitching him. And after 2 minutes...
You still pitch him while he's naked?
I'm still pitching him, right? And then he goes back inside and he comes out with a baseball bat and he chases us out of his house, like literally out of the gate, running after us naked. And later on we found out that he was the crazy guy on the street.
Right.
But that was a pretty... that wasn't very fun.
Yeah, because you have to go to depending on what you sell, but you will be going to some weird areas as well. Like some areas, in some cities, you don't want to even go into an area,
Yeah, I remember we used to do it in Manchester, and there was an area called, I can't even remember the area now, but there was an area which was really rough. And it was, when you went there, you kind of had to wear, you didn't wear your nice clothes, you didn't wear nice watches, because you knew that you could get into trouble if you went there.
And you wore your Chelsea uniform.
Definitely not.
What football team do you support in London?
I'm Brazilian, but I support Liverpool because in 2001 they beat Arsenal in the FA Cup final, and supporting them since then. You know?
Okay.
So,
So you're not a London football fan. It's Liverpool.
yeah, it's Liverpool. But
Liverpool. That's a really bad accent.
that's a
Okay.
really bad accent.
Yeah. So you got this sales team. So you had 300 people. Did you go to companies and sell that as a service? And you said, okay, if you have a product, I got 300 salespeople. We'll go out there and we'll sell it for you.
Yeah, well, actually, our first product was we used to go to warehouses and we'd say to the warehouse owner, look, give us your product, give us your stock at cheaper than retail price, and we'll go and sell it a little bit cheaper than retail price, right? So we'd made our margins like that, and we were selling toys, we were selling stuff, these stuffed toys that you give to children. That's what we used to sell a lot, and then we got our first big contract, which was a girl called Victoria Jackson. She's a makeup designer in the States. And what happened was one of my guys pitched her in the airport. I don't know what they were doing in the airport, but they pitched her in the airport, and she took their details, and then she ended up calling our office. We ended up meeting her. And then after we closed her as a client, we ended up getting Sky, TalkTalk. We ended up getting some really good blue chip clients.
Wow.
But in the beginning, it was just hustling, just sell anything.
And I mean, that's what you have to do in the beginning. A lot of people think, that, it's going to be easy, but it's in the beginning, it's a little bit challenging. And then you need to sort of go through that phase where you're going to find and work yourself up. It's like if you start any martial art, you don't start white belt and then jump to black belt. Like you got to do the grading. And I find like a lot of entrepreneurs don't get that, okay, when you start in business, it's actually a lifelong pursuit. So what you need to focus on is like being like just daily, reading 10 pages in the book, eating healthy, staying fit, keeping focused, making that one important phone call, just like the consistency of it. And that's how you get to be like a black belt heavyweight champion.
Yeah, consistency is definitely the key thing, because I think so many people get excited in the beginning. They do it in the beginning, they get excited, and then life slaps you in the face a little bit, and then you're not excited anymore.
Yeah.
Which is why door-to-door is such a good environment to learn, because you go out in the field, you're excited, then it starts to rain, then it starts to snow, then one customer tells you to get lost, and then you start to realize the true colors. So yeah.
So
really.
So what is so there's many different ways to reach people. Door to door is quite. I mean, you got the people in the street sort of giving you flyers, and then you got like the people trying to like get you into nightclubs. And in Vegas they do the thing with the cards, So what is unique about door to door versus like direct mail?
I think I'll give you an example. When we worked with TalkTalk, they initially signed us to work with them to try and generate more customers, right? And the problem was that they spent a lot of money on TV. They used to sponsor the X Factor. They spent a lot of money on a lot of other forms of advertising and marketing. What they basically found was after 1 year, they found that the door-to-door sales that we were getting for them, because our team was much bigger by this point, but the door-to-door sales accounted for 44% of their business. And in terms of return on investment, they gave us this figure. It was roughly 500%. Roughly, it was a little bit more. But what they invested to pay us to go and do door to door, the return that they got, because it's such a low cost form of marketing. If you can find a team that can do it for you, we don't do it anymore. But if you can find a team like that, it's such a low cost form of marketing because it's direct to the customer. So you can track the results very easily. TV, radio, all these other forms of marketing are great. They get you a lot of exposure, but you can't track the results quite as easily. So that's why door-to-door is so effective.
Wow. And for what kind of, obviously it has to be a consumer-facing product, service. So what would the ideal customer be for you? As you mentioned, like mobile phone plans.
We also did B2B. Like we did it's basically the ideal product for someone who's going to sell things doing door to door, or that sort of sales channel, is someone whose product or service is consumer based. For example, we did a campaign for MBNA, the credit cards, and that was like like taking, that was just, it was just raining applications, because they were giving people the credit cards for free. So you didn't even have to sell something to someone. You just said, do you want a free credit card? Yeah, just sign here, done. And we got paid, they got the, so really you need a product or service which is mass market, which is consumer facing, preferably not business to business, but it needs to be business to consumer.
So, in terms of payments, did you get paid per sign up, or did you get like a percentage, or
we used to get paid? We used to get paid per acquisition. So that I mean, I sold my shares in that company about 4 years ago. Okay. But yeah, we used to get paid per customer acquisition.
Right. So also the door-to-door salespeople then only got a percentage of. So what was the percentage that they got? What did you take?
What was the percentage roughly? Percentage was, let's say an application was £100. They would get £30.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So for you, so it's no cure, no pay agreement. You got to obviously you got to pitch the client. But then when you had this network of 300 people, £70 each. How many did they do a day?
A day. So
like the average person.
The target was to do 3 a day. So then they'd make £60 a day, right? Yeah. And then the office is making, off each application, the office is making roughly £70.
Right.
So it worked out very nicely. At the peak, we had about 1,000 guys doing this. Across we had 7 offices across the UK. Each office had about a couple of hundred guys. So we had about 1,000 guys at the peak. And that was a lot of money. That was a lot of fun.
Wow. So what would you say the Achilles heel was in that kind of business model?
The Achilles heel is the fact that it's a very high intensity environment. So what that means is when the intensity isn't at 100% every day, you can't have one day where it's not 100%. Because if you have one day where it's not 100%, it starts to create a sliding effect of turmoil, and things start to kind of go wrong. So it has to be, every day is going to be high energy, high impulse, high, it's very, very challenging, and very few people lasted longer than 6 months. In fact, very few people lasted longer than a week, but very few lasted longer than 6 months.
Right. So you're constantly recruiting, you're constantly training, plus the contracts that you got to get in. They last, there's like a promotional period, and then you had to go out and get a new one.
Yeah, absolutely. Every contract used to get an initial trial period where we used to get paid more during that trial period. We used to also get a retainer during that trial period. But then once that trial period is over, you're in a negotiation stage. You're renegotiating the contract. And then that's where it gets interesting, because if you negotiate it properly, you can get a great deal. And some deals we negotiated were amazing, and some deals we negotiated just weren't that good. And when you negotiate wrong, what happens is your campaign can't grow as well, because your bottom guy won't make as much money. So
you grew that. How many business partners did you have in that business?
So we had just under, I think we had 14 at one point. We had 14. So 14 guys. In the beginning, it was just me. I had a mentor. And then what happened was we recruited people. And once they got to a certain level, we incorporated them to run their own office.
Right, so like a licensee, like a franchise kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. So we pushed them out. They opened their own thing. We managed them. We used to take overrides off their office. So that's how we ran that.
What was the kickback from them?
So what we used to do per application.
Okay.
£50. Their rep would keep 30. Yeah. We would take 20.
Right. So basically, you had the strong brand, you had the clients, you had the connections. So you got some really nice sort of, well, passive. It's not really passive, but you got some like nice flows of money that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And at what point did you say to yourself, okay, now I need to get out of this. I want to do something else. And why are you doing what you're doing right now?
Why did I leave? I left because I was working, when we had 10 offices, I was working literally from Monday to Sunday, every day. I'd wake up at 7, I'd run a meeting in Manchester, I'd go to Birmingham, I'd go to Leeds, I'd come to London, I'd go back to Coventry.
You drive?
I was in the train, I was on the train, right? So I was doing this Monday to Saturday, every day for about 2 years. And after, I was making a ton of money, and I had a very good lifestyle when I wasn't, I enjoyed my work, and when I wasn't working,
you were young as well, right?
Yeah, I was really young. I was what, 20, 25, 26.
Yeah, so you
So,
have tons of energy, gung
yeah,
ho. Yeah.
yeah, you're having a great time, right? You have a lot of people respecting you. It's really good. But after a while, I was just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. So I decided to cash out. I went back to Brazil, and which is where my family's from, and I helped my family to close a contract with McDonald's because we have a farm down there. So we were trying to get a deal with McDonald's. So we did that. And then I ended up back in London by chance because I have a lot of friends here. So I decided to come back and I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then what happened was I started networking. I started meeting people who had great businesses, great services. They just couldn't sell, they couldn't sell anything to anyone. And the idea was, let's work with businesses to try and help them to become better at selling whatever it is that they do. Let's try and help them to become better at that. And then that's how MJB, was born, so to speak.
So how old is that company now?
So now we're into our third year, end of our third year. So yeah, we've done reasonably well, end of our third year, and we work with a wide range of people, wide range.
What is your process? Let's say I had an accounting company. Let's say we were 3 or 4 people, kind of small, and we just wanted to maybe grow to 12 people. What kind of process would you take us through?
Okay, so we focus aggressively on sales, and I use that word aggressively on purpose because I think in the UK, people have this fear of sales, right? It's like they call it anything else, business development, they call it anything else other than sales. And I think we aggressively push people to get good, get better, enjoy doing sales, right? So I'll give you an example. We have an accounting client. When they started with us, they have just under 60 clients, right? And they're now starting to recruit, they're starting to grow. But to answer your question, to go from 4 to 12 people, the only way you can do that is if you've got money to pay those other people, right? So really the first thing you've got to focus on is let's go and get more clients, let's go and get more business, because the moment that happens, you can recruit more people. You know what I mean? And I think what most people do is they do it wrong. I get a lot of businesses coming to us who say to me, Mike, I want to recruit a good salesperson. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But unfortunately, at the baby stage of a business, the best person to sell that business is probably the business owner. It's probably not some sales guy who's coming to work for you. It probably isn't.
And I know, like even Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. Well, Bill Gates is actually a pretty good salesman. Warren Buffett. I mean, he's not classical sort of. He's quite nerdy. He actually read How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is a classic.
Great book.
And he said, "Oh yeah, I learned everything I needed to know about sales from that book." And now he's really good at sales.
Yeah, I think the fact is, we're always selling, right? Like, if you want to get a girlfriend or you want to get a boyfriend, you have to sell yourself to that person. If you want to, if you're, for example, if you're thinking about getting investment from a VC, you have to sell that concept to someone. If you're recruiting people into your business, if you want to get the good quality people, you're selling them on the concept of your business. So I think where people are what I notice with our clients anyway is the moment they start to get good at selling, it expands to very different areas of their lives. Like, for example, I had one client, I called him yesterday, and we were laughing about it. He goes, Mike, you've helped me to sell my way to getting a better car. And I was like, what do you mean? So what he did was, and he was telling me the story, he went to the car dealership, and obviously we taught him some stuff on negotiating, how to negotiate, all this kind of stuff. And he bought a car which was supposed to be £10,000. He ended up buying it for $6,000. The car that he wanted to get, right? And he was like, I would never have done that 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I would have probably paid $10,000.
Yeah, so interesting. Like I always ask, it doesn't matter what I'm buying. Well, typically it has to be more than £10. But I'll typically always ask for so what's the best price? And then they'll say, oh, it's £12, and I'll say, no, I see that's the price on the thing, but what's your price for me?
Yeah.
But before that, I always kind of, get along with the person and I do that anyway. I naturally make some jokes and hang out with people a little bit first, and then I kind of ask what things are called, and then I would say about 50% of the time, and they knock off 10 to 30%.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get if you don't ask, you don't get, right? And I think that's the hardest part of sales. It's just the attitude. You've got to have the attitude, and it's just got to become something it's just got to become part of your bloodstream. It's just you don't think about it as in terms of, all right, and now I've got a prospect, let me sell to this person. It's just your constant, like my friends joke with me, they're like, Mike, you're always selling us stuff, And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm selling you anything right now, but okay.
But you're a natural, so if you think about the disc profile, you're an influencer. You're like the sales type person yourself.
I think disc doesn't really, it's interesting disc because they try to categorize certain types of people. I think anybody can be a salesperson because essentially everybody is a salesperson. It's just there's different types of salespeople. For example, you've got the loud bravado salesperson. I can definitely do that because I've done that in the past. But I find that like a lot of our clients, like the accountants, Hannah, for example, the just Chinese girl who was the accountant, she's like the most timid, shy person you will ever meet. But she's an animal at generating sales now. So in terms of stereotype, she's the completely wrong. You would never look at her and go salesperson, but in terms of being a business owner, she's phenomenally good at what she does now because she's confident at generating business. I think people have a very not wrong. I think you've got to be very motivated inside. That doesn't mean you've got to come across loud and over the top.
Yeah, because it's funny that I interrupted you, seeing as my point is that I think one of the most important elements of sales is really listening to the customer's problem, and then coming up with whatever solution that you find is best that you can deliver at a price where they make a profit. Then you're in business. Absolutely.
That comes across through basic spin selling. So
spin selling.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
What is spin selling?
So spin selling is essentially where the concept of you find a problem, you find the prospect's problems, you match it with your solutions, you agree on a price, you get a deal. And that's what we teach our clients because anyone can do that. So that works really nicely. Yeah.
So I've got this accounting company now. What is our first step? First step is the owner needs to learn how to sell, and how would I do that?
Well, every business, so let's use this accounting company. Let's use Hannah as an example, who's the accounting. The very first thing, there's four things really, there's four areas. Any business, regardless of the business, if they focus on, they triple their sales in a very short period of time. And the first thing tends to be a sales strategy. So learning how to get in front of more prospects, right? Because if you ask 95% of businesses out there, you ask them, how do you get your business? And they'll very proudly, small, medium-sized businesses will tell you referrals. They'll say, I get all my business through referrals. And that's amazing. That's really good. But what happens when you don't get any referrals? You don't get any business, right? So then you've got to, so basically what it comes down to is giving yourself, if you can pitch 5 people a month, the aim of the game, the first part is let's figure out how we can pitch 20. Because if you give yourself more opportunities, you're going to win more, right? Yeah. And that's the very first part. Before you even focus on pitch, before you even focus on anything else, it's how can we get in front of more people? Because once you get that right, you're playing the game. You're at least stacking the odds in your favor. You know what I mean?
So how would you do that?
So what you then figure out is you figure out how can I get in front of more prospects, right? So what is going to be your sales channels? What's going to be your routes to market? How are you going to work each channel? So what we do with our clients is we sit down with them and we go, right, let's break down your sales channels. Let's figure out how many deals. Let's figure out how you're going to work each channel so that they've got a game plan so that they can execute that game plan to get in front of more people. That's what it comes down to in the beginning. Like I'll give it, when I started my company, I used to go to 3 networking events a day, because I knew that I had to get in front of more people. So
one of the things that Hannah did was like she went to all of these business events, maybe BNI, maybe Entrepreneur Revolution Conference, and just like constantly just being out there. Okay. So what other things could an accounting company do in terms of getting in front of prospects?
So you figure out networking is definitely the best way, right? Because I think your network eventually, there's a saying which I love, which is your net worth is directly proportional to your network, right? And I think in networking, it's very, very true, right? So you figure that out. A lot of people do webinars nowadays to get more leads. A lot of people run events. Strategic partnerships tends to be very good, because you pitch people who you can partner with.
Who could accountants partner with?
So accountants could partner with anyone, literally. They could partner with lawyers, IFAs, they could partner with wealth managers. Anyone who's involved in businesses, they could partner with, So it works really nicely. Hannah, for example, she partners with a lot of people who run networking groups. So she's directly getting exposure to a lot of clients, right? So yeah, you got to know how, it's like you got to know where to go, but once you get it down on paper, it makes life much easier. Most businesses listening to this, if we were to ask them, do you have your sales strategy down on one piece of paper? I've never met someone yet who goes, yes, here it is.
Yeah, I guess business is fluid. Yes, you can sit down and create a framework, but it's fluid. So like in a day, you're like, ooh, I'm doing this, but in your mind, you want to do this.
Yeah.
But that's definitely why you probably should have work with people like yourself to go there and sort of get coached on it, get clear, and then go back and then follow through and constantly be improving on the process. So how do you? So if I came to you and said we want to buy your services, how would that work?
So what we do is we sit down with everybody. We do a 1 hour sort of consultation session to see. Most people we can help them, but every now and again we come across someone where we're like, look, we just can't help you, right? Because our promise to people is that if we work with someone, we're going to help them triple in 6 months. And if they don't triple in 6 months, then we refund them their money. Ooh. So it's pointless us working with someone.
That's a big promise, man.
Yeah. So far we've worked with like 200 companies. We've refunded 3 people.
Wow. Wow.
So so what we do is we sit down with someone. If we can help them, we put them on a program. If we can't help them, then we just let them go, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the programs they're 6 months, 3 months, and 12 months.
Okay, so how does it work specifically? Like if I signed a deal right now for my accounting company, my fictional accounting company, how would we work going forwards the next 6 months?
So part of it is we do an initial workshop with people. Like here's what you've got to do. It's like here's the mechanics of what you've got to do, right? So that's 1 day. And then there's a 6-month program, which is weekly phone calls, monthly meetings to make sure that the person's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's like initial training and then coaching and mentoring through 6 months to ensure that the plans are being implemented properly. So, it's like personal training, but for sales.
yeah. Building those.
Yeah. Building the guns.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that we started off talking about was outsourcing, because I'm a big outsourcing guy. Like that's what my businesses do. We do outsourcing of different types. And I've tried to outsource sales before. What was difficult at that time was obviously like finding the cash to invest in them doing the sales, and then can you talk a little bit about the so let's say the scenario is I don't have money, I need sales, I want to outsource it. How can I do it?
Yeah, my advice is don't outsource it. Because no one's going to be as passionate about your business as you, right? So my first advice is start selling. I would never outsource in B2B. If it's a business to business sale, I would never outsource. I would never outsource our service because no one's ever going to sell it as well as they would. The only thing I would outsource is maybe appointment booking. I would maybe outsource appointment booking and get people to book me appointments. But even all of that, it needs to be very structured. It needs to be very much like, here's the pitch, here's what you need to say, here's the qualifying criteria that I need. So in the beginning, what I would say to people is I'd say sales is such an important part of your business. If you don't have cash, then you've got to get cash. And the only way to get cash is get clients. So you might as well just get good at selling. You know what I mean? You might as well just get going. And because once you do that, you'll notice that you won't want to outsource it. What you'll want to do is you want to bring someone in-house so that you can have full control of the situation. You know? Like the amount of clients who come to us in the beginning going, I want to outsource it. And we're like, okay, you learn how to do it first. What tends to happen is after 4 months, they're so good at it that then they bring someone in-house, but they have the money to pay that person, and then their results go through the roof. You know?
Right.
But I think if someone's really anti that, then the only other way is to outsource the appointment booking.
Yeah.
So they outsource the initial thing, but the rest has to be.
And by appointment booking, what is the process there? How does that work?
So the appointment booking would be working with like a telemarketing company, and that, you know, maybe you give them a list of prospects that you have, or you give them a criteria. For example, let's say you want accountants. You go, I want to target accountants in, you know, I don't know, Maida Vale, right? And then they come up with a list and they call those people for you and they book an appointment. But you need to think of what's the pitch? What are they going to say? How are they going to represent you? You know, what information do you need from the accountant, from the prospect, for you to know that it's a good lead, right? Because otherwise you're going to waste a lot of money, you're going to invest a lot of time, and you're not going to get a good ROI.
So you're from Brazil, you've worked in the UK. How would you say selling in the UK, or let me rephrase that. What is important to think about in terms of selling a B2B accounting service in the UK?
I think in the UK, compared to anywhere else in the world, people are very hesitant to make decisions. They're very guarded. They don't want to take risks necessarily. They can take a little bit longer to make a decision. So building trust is very, very important. You know, they say that in sales it's about building, people need to know, like you, and trust. Right? So know, like, and trust. So I think trust in the UK is almost more important than the other two, you know? So someone has to really, really trust you, and that's the hardest. There's ways to get people to trust you, but that's the biggest thing, I think, when it comes to selling an accounting service, because if you mess up as an accountant, it can be really bad for your client, right? So I think
it's also,
that's a big difference.
I mean, if you think about, I'm not sure if you ever attended Millionaire Mind with T. Harv Eker. Have you ever been to that seminar?
No, is it good?
Okay, yeah, it's very good actually. But there you will learn a lot about like money and our relationship to it, and how a lot of our thoughts about money come from our parents, etc. But there's a lot of pain associated to money in the world. A lot of stress, a lot of fatigue, anxiety, all these things. So I guess an accountant is managing people's money. So their trust would just be like the most important. So how can you create more trust quicker?
Okay, so the biggest thing is, you know, they say psychologically, they say it takes 7 touch points to build a relationship with someone, right? So there's loads of different, 7 touch points, let's just go with that as a theory. So you've got to try, and within a very short period of time, create 7 touch points, right? So, like, for example, you could have, right, I talk to you, we have a phone call now, maybe I need to send you a proposal, maybe I give you the proposal on the phone call. Between the phone call and the decision, I need to introduce you to someone that could be worth, and I introduce you to maybe my best client, and my best client talks to you. Suddenly it's someone else. I have an advocate who's singing my praises, right? But that would just happen. So when we talked about network earlier, one of the best ways to build trust is to show to people that you've got a network of people who buy into what you do already. Like, for example, with us, we do a supercharge event every quarter, which is a big sales thing. So that we've got clients who, you know, so that they see we've got clients who are happy with us.
So testimonials.
Case studies, testimonials, video testimonials, you know.
What do you say is most effective? Is it video, text, or does it not matter?
I think video is 10 times more effective.
Okay.
Massive. You know, because anyone could write, I could write a testimonial. I'm not saying I would, but I could, right? But as a video, it's very hard for me to fake being someone else.
Absolutely. So when you do this event, do you actually ask people for testimonials there? Because that's what
Yeah.
I do at my event. I actually I've spent 2 to 3 days with people. I've taught them all about like how to make money online, how to structure a business, how to outsource, and everything but except sales. And and then I say, if you enjoyed this, it would mean the world to me if you just made a 30-second testimonial, because that helps us reach more people. And obviously, if you didn't enjoy yourself, don't make one.
Yeah.
And then
No,
or
absolutely.
make one,
Yeah.
or even make one if you didn't enjoy yourself. Make one too. I mean, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Testimonials, video testimonials, massive,
Yeah,
massive.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because if you think about it, if you buy a product of someone that that you can see that they've got testimonials of someone else, all of a sudden you're gonna be like, you know what, I believe this guy a little bit more, and that's what it's about, isn't it?
What other things can we do to create trust? Are there any awards? Are there publish a book? What
I
other
think,
things can you do?
I think publishing a book is great. I think awards are great. I think one of the biggest ways to build trust with someone is when you say you're going to do something, do it. So, for example, if the moment, like I like to say to prospects, the moment I meet them, and I treat all my guys to do this, they email before 6 p.m. on the same day. So it doesn't matter what happens, but you email the prospect on the same day. And you use language like I write as promised. You know what I mean? I said I was going to do this. I'm doing this. And if you say to someone, I'm going to call you at 10 a.m., you call them at 10 a.m. You basically, it's quite easy, but a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people say they're going to do something, and then it doesn't happen for whatever reason. But if you do that in the sales process before you even have the clients, then the message that you're giving the client is something completely different as to what you want. You know what I mean?
I think Andrew Carnegie said something like, "I no longer listen to what people say; I watch what they do."
Exactly.
Because the actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, 10 times, man. 10 times. It's funny. It's like I like for example, I'll give you an example. Like I know because I've trained people, so many people over the years. The moment I pick up the phone and I talk to a client to see how their week has been, just by the way they say hello, I know everything. I know whether they've had a good, bad. I know it. And that's because the way you say things, the way you come across, the way you do things, your actions are 10 times. You could have 10,000 awards, but if someone doesn't really trust you, those awards are not going to help you. So yeah, I think the easiest way to build trust is say something and then do it. Just stick to it. Don't come up with any reasons why you can't do it. But then
And
again, don't say things that you can't do.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And as a salesperson, that can sometimes be, I mean, you're looking for the sale, you want the sale. Sometimes you go, oh yeah, yeah, we can do this in 24 hours, and then you kind of have to fight, like Elon Musk with Tesla, right? He says, oh
Yeah.
yeah, the Model X will be out in a year, and it's like 6 years later, it's still not. Well,
Yeah.
so, what do you? But I guess he was been consistent about communicating the delay and stuff. I'm not sure.
I think that's a different situation. But I think I think you got to know your limit. You got to know, if you can't do something for someone, it does build trust again for you to say, look, I can't do this, but I can. I know someone who can, so let me put you in touch with them. That still builds trust. You might not get the deal from that person, but they will probably introduce you to someone else that you can get a deal off. That happens quite a lot. So
So in terms of this, where does the sort of reservedness of British people come from? Like, why are they reserved? What in British culture creates that? Do you know? Do you know where it comes from? I think you froze a bit there. You still with us? Okay, so how to make it happen, and we're now back with Michael Gray. Hello?
We back?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could just turn back your video.
Okay, let me try and do that. All right, there we go.
Cool. So, what I asked, I'll turn it on as well. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Awesome.
So my last question was, where does this British reservedness, I don't know how to say the word, reservedness come from?
God, that's a big political question, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I think it comes from. It's a very interesting question. English people are definitely more reserved than anywhere else in the world, right? You look at like Brazilians, Americans, Africans, way more reserved. And I think it probably comes, if I'm honest, it probably comes from their history. If you look at the British history, it's very much a history of, let's be polite, let's not insult someone, let's speak, only speak if you're spoken to, sort of thing, and that kind of breeds reserve over a period of time. That's going to make you more reserved, right? And I think English people are so focused on not offending someone that, like, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to push someone, I really don't understand that concept, but I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to push someone. And it's like, would you want the business or would you not want the business? Yeah, I want the business, but I don't want to push someone. And if you go to Africa, they don't care. They're like, they want the business, and until you tell them no, and they're getting it. Same thing with Americans. Americans are very similar, and I think British people, they have, maybe not just British people, that's unfair, but I think there's definitely a reservedness to push someone when in the middle of a sale. So
I think, but the fact of the matter is, people still want to buy.
Absolutely. The trick in the UK to be very good at selling, or actually the trick anywhere, is if you think about it, there's a saying in sales which says, everybody hates being sold to, but they love to buy, right? Otherwise, retail businesses wouldn't exist, right?
They are actually not becoming more and more non-existent because of the Amazon,
right,
jungle.
But people still love going online buying stuff, right?
Yes.
So the way we try and, I think the way to look at sales, especially in the UK, is don't necessarily sell something to someone, but explain it in a way where they're making a buying decision. So they're choosing to buy rather than being sold to. Because that's two very different experiences. It's two very different situations. And the moment someone's buying it, you'll notice that it becomes much easier.
Absolutely. Anything else we need to know about selling in the UK?
I think the biggest thing is, you've got to have a certain attitude that you're there to really focus on the why. Simon Sinek, it's one of my favorite guys. But he did a video on YouTube, very good video, called Finding Your Why, right? But the concept is very simple, is that people buy something because of a result. So the moment you focus on why, like with us, our big thing is we're going to help people triple their sales. So the moment we say that to people, they get excited. The question then sometimes is, can you really, we get loads of clients who go, I don't believe you can do it, but I'll work with you. And then we do it, and then they're like, okay, fine, I believe you, go away. But it's a bold enough statement which captures their attention.
So what kind of books do you recommend? So start with why. You recommend
Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek's really good. Anything by Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
We actually had him on the this podcast, and I think it was video actually.
That guy is amazing at
sales.
He is the godfather. Like I went on one of his courses 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was good. But this guy was good.
Okay.
Like it's just a lot of what he might not be everybody's cup of tea. Texan, but he's so in your face almost that he changes your mentality towards you selling. It's very good. It's very good. Some of the stuff he says is very good. Yeah. So he's very good. And I think, who else is quite good? I really like Dale Carnegie. Anything by Dale Carnegie, I really, really like. Okay. And the last one, in terms of sales, is a thing called Sandler Sales Training. Sandler, they do loads of books, and it's very simple on how to learn how to sell.
Yeah. What about like, because Edgar Dale, he had this cone of learning. Reading a book is 10%. Actually going door to door and doing the sales is like 100% immersed experience. So obviously you learn a lot faster. If I was to go and do any sales training in the UK, where would I go?
Well, I would say MJB Graham.
Of course.
I would say come to us, right?
and how do I sign up for that? Where do I go?
I think the best thing, our website. So if you go to our website, www.mjbgraham.com, and then you come down to one of our superchargers, which we run every quarter, or you give us a call, and someone will have a chat with you.
Fantastic. So that is the absolute best place to come work with you right now, right here today.
I think this is what I think. I think if you want to get results, then yes. If you just want to learn, there's probably tons of places you can learn.
Okay, guys, you heard it here on Hardcore MBA. Today was all about how to sell in the UK. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a true pleasure, and because our office is in the same area, we have to meet up for lunch. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave us a review for the podcast. It really helps us reach a larger audience, and that means that we can keep on adding value to you, the entrepreneur. Thank you, and bye-bye.
This podcast is brought to you by MrOutsource.com. Outsourcing to the Philippines done for you. Mr. Outsource is a recruitment company matching busy entrepreneurs with Filipino virtual assistants, so you can have the time to focus on what's important.